Okay, so I'm Julian Williams. I'm 20 years old and I am born and raised here on the North Shore. I didn't start surfing though until I was about 12 years old. I played basketball. My dad was really heavy influence on me for basketball. So through elementary school, I played in this PAL league, and I don't know, I was on the court starting to sweat and realizing, why are my friends not sweating? Why are my friends not here complaining about running and doing suicides all day at practice? And I figured they were surfing. One of my friends that was on the basketball team took me out, and I was hooked after that. That was actually, I caught my first wave on that board, that locomotion board right there. But like, I really didn't really start getting really into competing until I went to Kamehameha schools, where I was able to join the surf team, and we surfed twice a week. My surf coach picked me up and he'd drive us down the Kiwalos or the bowls, and I'd train with like all of my classmates, which was really cool to be able to like go to school and talk about surfing, and then go after school and surf with them. And then all that training would lead up to a surf contest, like usually at the end of the month with the HASA, Hawaii Surfing Association. And we'd go and we'd compete against like Punahou and Leisure Dan and Iolani. And yeah, that was a really good experience for me. Kind of got my competitive juices flowing and really made me like enjoy surfing. Kind of was like, I can do this. I can see, like, I mean, not necessarily comparing myself to other people, but seeing how like others were surfing and how my level was surfing, it really like made me want to push myself and to continue to get better and continue to surf other waves. And yeah, for sure. I would say about 2 years. It took me about 2 years to really like, okay, this is what I want to do, surfing, because like I said, I was playing basketball. So I was trying out, I got into Kamehameha schools in 7th and 8th grade in middle school. And I was trying out for the basketball team, running, suicide, sweating constantly. And then I didn't make the team. So I had to find something else to do. I joined the water polo team, which was a really good outlet for me too. I made a lot of friends, and for me, sticking to the water was what I needed. And I built that love for swimming and just being in the ocean and being in the water, not necessarily the ocean, but the pool as well. Really got me like, okay, yeah, I really want to do this for sure. And then like, I really didn't compete until I was like 13, 14, and I started doing like the little Menehune contest and the Rel Sun out in Makaha. And I don't know, I just like being and hanging out with everybody at the beach and the whole atmosphere and the whole lifestyle of it, and just fell in love with it. From that, like probably about 12 or 13, I knew I was going to be a surfer for sure. Going off of the high school surf team, we would go every summer. We'd travel to Salt Creek in California for the NSSA Nationals, where we'd compete against like schools from Florida and all the schools from California and like from the mainland schools. And so I was able to do a lot of traveling to California, and that's actually where I picked up my first sponsor, was DMZ Surfboards. So he saw me at the beach and just enjoyed the way I surfed and loved the way I talked to him, and we've been together ever since. I've been riding his boards for about 6 years now, but for pretty much ever since then, I go back to California every summer to like work on a quiver, to go surf lowers, to go surf Huntington Beach, and to compete as well. I did the Surfing America for the longboarding a few years back, and also I've gone to Peru in 2019 with a couple of my friends, Pedro and Kainalu. We went down there. I went by myself actually, flew from here to San Francisco to Panama, where like I had no idea what Spanish was, pretty much. Like standing there, people trying to tell me and direct me where to go, and I'm just like looking at them like, I really need help. So I downloaded the Google Translator, and they would speak to it. I navigated my way through the airport, got from Panama to Peru, and my friends were waiting for me there. And Pedro's actually from Peru. He moved there like 12 years ago. So he has family there. So they all picked us up and took us in. I stayed in Lima, Peru for about 2 weeks in this little town called Santa Maria, and we surfed this like super little, like in a cove, little wave called San Bartolo, all to ourselves for about 2 weeks. And it's like this little fishing town, so there's no locals really surfing, and we're the only surfers around, and all the little kids have never seen people from Hawaii around there. So it was really cool to like introduce myself and to meet and talk to all the locals and learn the culture as well. That's what I really enjoy about traveling. And I've been able to go to Australia a couple of times. I traveled there to like be a part of the Nusa Longboarding Fest, and that was a really good experience for me. Probably Australia is one of my favorite places that I've gone to for sure. Just like the kangaroos and just how wild it is, and being in some place where surfing really is a full-on lifestyle there. People really live like in the back of their surf bus, wake up every morning and just go surf. It's really ridiculous and crazy. Where else have I gone? I've been to Mexico a couple of times. I actually drove across the border with my shaper in an RV, real like boonies version, like loaded all of our boards and stayed in the back of the RV for a week and surfed K38 and surfed in Encinitas and surfed Baja Malibu. That's about it. I traveled to the outer islands as well, like surfed in Lahaina and Maui. Definitely want to go and surf Honolulu Bay though. That's on one of my lists for sure. Honolulu Bay, and I want to go to South Africa so bad. It just looks wild to be able to go there and see the wildlife, and then to be in the ocean that's freezing cold and surf Jeffreys Bay, and definitely on my bucket list for sure.
Super sharky.
Yeah. I mean, but being able to grow up out here and surf, I see sharks constantly. I mean, even though there's so much fish for them to like eat, seeing a shark is pretty scary. So I'm kind of used to it, I could say. Kind of used to seeing sharks. This is gonna be my first like state title for longboarding trophy. I got it when I was about 14 or 15 years old. We actually had the state contest out at Bowls, and I remember it was firing. I was in the heat with, I want to say it was Kahanu Kuban and Ha'aheo Foster Bloomfield and a couple of other guys that I can't recall right now. But yeah, I was firing bowls. Like even Big Bowl was breaking, and I was on that thing. And at the time, I had a single fin on it, so it was pretty hard to try and get to the nose and everything. But just trying to survive, like riding Big Bowl on a big board with all my friends was pretty fun. And I remember my wave that I got, that I feel like I won. I got it from the outside of Big Bowl and rode it in, did a couple cross steps, but that little inside bowl of bowls that stands up in barrels, I got a little like pocket ride all the way to the inside and paddled across the channel, stood up, and I was so stoked to win this trophy. I wasn't really expecting it because, I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on in the heat, so I was just catching my own waves, paddling around, laughing. I was getting so pounded too because of how big it was. It was like, I want to say solid 6-foot bowls on our longboards. And I mean, to be able to surf with only 4 other guys was pretty lucky too. So I was stoked on that. And this is going to be my second state title for the Hawaii Surfing Association, HASA, for longboarding. I also won this on my longboard, not this one, but that green board right over there. Finally got a real log. I went back to California, I remember, that summer after I won that state title, and my shaper Dave was like super amped on me. He was like, you know what, we're gonna get you on a real log. So we went and we like tried a whole bunch of different surfboards out of Malibu, different longboards, and tested them out. And that's the board that we came out with. That's a 9.4. I call it the green machine, but that was my trusted longboard. And it was a lot smaller for this year. It was a lot grindier, and I was lucky that I had that because nose riding was for sure what I had to do to take the state title. But it was pretty much, it's always been like the same 4 boys, you know, throughout all the years, which is cool about surfing in Hawaii because you grow up constantly competing with the same guys, which is, I mean, for some people may not be good, but for me it was really good because I felt like I would get to a level that was better than them, and then they'd get to another level, and we just keep fighting for the top spot, which was, I was so stoked to win this that year because I wasn't winning every single contest to be able to make it to states. So I qualified and I was like 3rd place, I believe. And then coming into the contest, I was real confident in my boards and real stoked to just get in the water for sure. And was happy to win this. What made me really want to make the transition from longboarding to shortboarding was just I could see that riding a shortboard, there was more possibilities that you can do. I feel like not necessarily limits, but on a longboard there's only certain things that you can really do until you start falling or not having a really good time. And I kind of caught on to that, so I picked up a shortboard, and slowly I figured it out, like doing the turns and actually like being able to flow and pick up the motion, and that actually got me to build up my confidence in going out in bigger waves as well, because going out on a longboard in bigger surf isn't really what you want to do. You know, you're going to pearl, you're going to not be able to make it out, and being able to duck dive on a shortboard was very easy for me as well. I don't know, I just really enjoyed seeing like all my friends that were starting to make that transition as well, you know, like for me, I don't know if I wanted to be a follower, but I wanted to be better than a lot of the people that I was seeing around me for surfing, for sure. And I saw that they were going shortboarding, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try. Picked up a shortboard and I really did enjoy it. And I just liked the fact that I could stand up and pretty much do whatever I wanted on the board. Like the possibilities were endless, and being able to pick up speed and cut back and hit the section and then pull into a barrel was awesome for me too. But for me, I didn't want to just be like a longboard surfer. I didn't just want to be a shortboard surfer. Or I didn't want to just ride soft tops or anything like that, or just boogie board. I wanted to be able to like put my name out and be a surfer. I can ride a longboard, I can ride a gun, I can ride a shortboard, a twin fin, boogie board if I needed to. And that's where I like, also where the motivation to move from longboarding to shortboard came, because I wanted to be able to master everything. So I could, you know, if I was surfing somewhere in the middle of like Israel, you know, and it's flat and I have a longboard, I can still go out and have a really good time. Or if it was pumping like 25-foot Waimea, I can still take my big gun out and still have a blast too. So I wanted to be able to like be versatile, I would say, in my surfing and be able to just be well-rounded, for sure. Yeah, so this is gonna be the very first surfboard that I have surfed on, stood up on. I wish I could find the picture that I have, but I was starting to take surf lessons over at the surf center at Ali'i Beach Park. And this was the board that I would paddle out on and they'd push me in on. And actually, when my grandfather first moved here to Hawaii in the 70s, he was telling me the story that Dennis Pang, one of his early wives, was a member of his church over here across the street, Wailoa Beach Christian Church. And actually, he was taking lessons over at the surf center as well, and he needed a board, and he was able to pick up this board, and this board has pretty much been with my family since the 70s, and it's 2021 now. And I still take it out and surf V-Land, and I want to say it's a 7.4 single fin, and the fin's like so old that I can't even get the screw out of it, because I've wanted to try and use this fin on like a longboard on another single fin. But yeah, I want to say it's a 7.4 single fin. It's got a lot of rocker in it, but shaped by Dennis Pang and Jimmy Richardson. It's one of my favorite boards. I still ride it today. I've taken it out at Backdoor. I've taken it out at Haleiwa. I've taken it out at Makaha. It's just like, I like riding these kind of boards because it makes me feel like I got that almost like old school kind of flow, you know, and it kind of takes me back to my roots a little bit. And being able to turn something with a single fin this heavy and then going back onto my shortboard, it makes it a lot easier to like, I don't know, to make that transition into doing another like easier turn on my shortboard that I ride over here. But yeah, I've been riding this board ever since I first started. It's had a few different colors of wax, as you can see, some neon orange, but yeah, I've got a lot of memories on this board for sure. One day I would like to get it restored and hang it up on my wall as like a novelty piece because I've had it for so long. But I every time that I take it out in the water, I get, you know, older uncles asking me about it, like, who shaped the board, where'd you get this board, and like asking to buy it, and I'm sorry, I gotta keep this board for myself for sure. One of those that is just gonna have to stay with me always. Let's see. Maybe this one. And then this is my 6'1" single fin, shaped by Dave Moore, DMZ. We worked on this while I was in California, I would say 3 years ago. I was doing a lot of like Malibu surfing and this wave called Leo Carrillo up more like central coast of California. And wanted something that was going fast, but I also wanted something old school again, you know, because I really wanted to bring this board along with me, but it couldn't fit in my board bag. So I'm pretty sure this is pretty close to a Dick Brewer file that he got, that he shaped it off of, but all 100% hand shaped, 6'1" single fin. I took this board with me to Peru and rode the long point break lefts out there in Lobitos and surfed this wave called Piscinas on it. It goes real fast. I've also been riding it out of V-Land a lot because in the barrel, I don't know what it is, but with these single fins in the barrel, when you start to like move your feet towards the nose, you pick up speed. And it's like, for some reason, I've been really enjoying getting a lot of speed surfing. Surfing Waimea, you get so much speed going down the face, and being able to pick up speed without really doing anything but moving my feet has been really enjoyable on this board for sure. I usually put a bigger fin in it, but I think this is like a 7.5 inch fin, and I like to keep it back here so it's a little bit looser. when I'm doing my turns for sure. But yeah, I've had this board for about 3 years. And it's one of those that I take on every surf trip with me just because I know I'm going to have a blast. I've taken this to Australia, like I said, Peru. Haven't taken this down to Mexico yet, but really would like to do that. But this is my 6'1" single fin. All right, this is a board that I don't ride anymore. I rode it out at the Waimea River actually a couple days ago. But this was my first custom shortboard that I shaped with my shaper back in California. We shaped this about 2014, I want to say, 2013 in the summer. But we were going through boards and I was breaking some boards and boards weren't working for me out in Huntington Beach, and we just sat down, put different shapes together and came up with this with a diamond tail to be able to surf like in the smaller surf for sure in Huntington Beach. And yeah, this is the first board that I have put my hands on and worked on with a shaper. I helped him mow this board out and put color on it. Also wrote one of my favorite scripture verses on there. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. One of my things that I like to wake up and remember constantly, just because God is always going to be one of my biggest motivations in surfing and in everything that I do, for sure. But yeah, like I said, this is the first board that I have actually stood in a shaping bay and learned how to sand down the right way with the concave and get the rails to roll over the right way with the right tuck, and learn how to laminate the board as well. Yeah, that's his first board. I didn't do any surf contests on this board yet, or not yet, but I haven't surfed in a surf contest on this board because I got a new set of quiver thanks to Dave when I came back to Hawaii for surfing the contest here. So there's a longboard that me and my shaper like to call the 88. It's an 8.8, and at the time when I was first starting to get into longboarding, this was a high pro that I rode, a 2+1. Right now I'm just riding it as a twin fin. But yeah, at the time I was almost a midget, I felt like, really short, and this board was huge for me, like I could barely carry it. And I remember I took this board to California for my first national competition. I got third for NSSA, and this board worked really well in California. It's a lot thinner than your normal longboard, just because he wanted for me to still be able to like stand up and turn it and still be able to like get down the line and not just kind of get stuck, you know, bottom turning. But yeah, I won both of, actually no, I won one of my state titles on this board. The one that, my first state title I won on this board. And it works good in almost every condition. I still let my friends ride it to this day. That's why there's a twin fin on it. But yeah, I was able to take out my first state title on this board, maxed out all of Moana bowls. And it worked out good because it's almost shaped like a gun, like a tanker. So I was able to get into waves real easy. But because of my board isn't like real clunky and it wasn't real thick in the rails, it just went right through the face and I made it to the channel like it was nothing. But yeah, this is the board we like to call the 88. And I was also able to help him shape this one too. All of my boards are hand shaped. So usually when I'm out there in California, I go and I stand in the shaping bay with him and we conversate, you know, mix up things and I tell him what I like and what I don't like or what I want in a board. And he makes magic. And this board has taken me to a state title, state championship. It's the 88. Oh. All right, so this one here, this is actually going to be the first log that I got. First single fin log that I have received from my shaper Dave Moore. Like I said, I was starting to get really into just mixing it up with different boards with this single fin here and shortboarding and twin finning, and I wanted to get really into nose riding and like surfing Malibu. So I told him what I wanted. He was out there studying like the surfers pretty much, you know. He goes and he watches and looks at what people are riding, what like Andy Nablus is riding, what some of like Joel Tudor is riding, some of like the better Malibu longboarder surfers, and he'll talk to them. And he was able to put this thing together for me. 9.4 is my log, my first log, and this board has seen a lot of different waves. I've taken it to Australia with me, to Mexico and California, and to Maui as well. This is a trusted longboard. Although it does have some dings, I don't want to fix them just because I just feel like that adds to some like nostalgic value of having a log, you know. Some people like to fix their boards, but for me, I just put some silver tape on it and that's my longboard. Because I mean, I feel like I ride with no leash anyways and it's gonna hit somebody or hit the reef or something. So yeah, that's my log. Okay, so this is my more current shortboard. Just made this design over this past summer when I went up to California. This is a 6-shooter shaped by Dave Moore, all hand shaped. I want to say it's a 5'11" 6-shooter, 2.5 thick, all hand shaped. But this is meant for, you know, your high performance waves, surfing Haleiwa. I surfed a lot of lowers on this board. Surfing Haleiwa, surfing V-Land, surfing some local waves around here. But unfortunately, I did put a buckle in her. I was just doing a snap and came down too hard in the flats and felt it just flex and give out. And you know, once you buckle a board, you don't really want to ride it again because it doesn't feel right. You'll start to feel it like swiveling in the water, or like you won't get as much drive out of the bottom turn, out of the top turn. So yeah, that's this board. We wanted to make a board with less rockers so I can start trying to get into the air more. So that's what I'm trying to do, is because right now where surfing is going, it's going more like a snowboarding or a skateboarding route, and people are just insane in the air, you know, huge air reverses, alley-oops and backflips. Guys like Gabe Medina and like Josh Kerr and Noah Dean, those guys are insane at the air. So this board is more like a skateboard, less rocker. It's a lot flatter. I don't know if you can tell, very flat on the deck. But yeah, this board was meant to be high performance ridden, like riding your 4 to 5 foot clean face lowers Haleiwa. But unfortunately, I did put her and take her out. I think I was riding, surfing at Haleiwa, did a turn and just landed in the flats. Tried to take it out again, and there's not much you can do, like I said, with a buckled board, just because it just doesn't feel right. So that's where I got lucky enough, and one of my neighbors is Brian King, and he shapes Brabra surfboards, and he saw me surfing, and he's been watching me surfing for a few years, and we surfed together out at our local spot out here. And he wanted to get me on something that was different from what I've been riding. So this is a little bit more rockered out, a little bit thinner, but still has a little bit more volume than this board that I'm riding now. We wanted something that would be able to project me out of the lip, like off the bottom turn as well. This is a 6.0 18 1/8 2 by 7/16 thick. I think, what does it say? 27.4 liters I have in this board. And I'm pretty sure he made these boards, or some of these models are what Jack Freestone rode when he came out here to Hawaii on Paizel's boards. Very similar to what Jack Freestone was riding. But I've been riding this board for about 2 weeks now, just because I have no more DMZ boards in my quiver. All right, this is my 10.4, also shaped by Dave Moore, DMZ surfboards, hand shaped in California. My gun for Waimea. I've ridden it out at Sunset, really big Sunset as well, but she's heavy. This is almost about 25 pounds, I want to say. But for me, riding something this thick, riding something this long, It makes me feel real comfortable on the bigger surf. You know, I don't have to sit under the lip and take that big heavy drop, and paddling is a breeze for sure on this board. I've caught probably my biggest wave I've ever surfed in my entire life on this board as well, out of Waimea a few months ago. And what I like about it, because it's a quad, I don't get really stuck off the bottom. So I'm going down and off the bottom turn, getting so much speed and just coming around the section like it's nothing most of the time. But for me, when I big wave surf, I don't know if everybody else has this mentality, but I don't try to think about the wave that I'm catching until I'm at the very bottom. So I'll just be head down, stroking as hard as I can, not worrying about anything. And then once I stand up and look at like what I'm about to face, then I'm kind of like, oh crap, here we go. That's when my adrenaline starts rushing. But I don't like to think about the drop too much, because that's when I will eat crap. And eating crap at Waimea is not the best thing that you want to do, for sure. You get rolled and jet ski rescue and lifeguards come after you, and it's not the biggest fun time, for sure. But this board has gotten me in and out of some really big, crazy, heavy surf, for sure. All right, so I did try and get out to Pipeline this winter, and these are show for my my efforts, my triumphant efforts here. I paddled out and got a couple of waves, but as you can see, my boards didn't survive. I survived, I was very, very lucky and fortunate, especially at a wave at a Pipeline. But I went over the falls with this board. I thought I was making the drop, but you know, Pipeline has so much water moving and it just sucked me right over. And the board and the wave were one with each other at one point, and then it decided to split into two. And that's where that one went. I remember I even got worked after this. I was like paddling with the leash still attached to the back in the channel at Pipeline, like getting pounded by all the sandbar sets. It wasn't super fun. Same thing with this board. Right immediately after I broke this board, I went to my car, changed the fins, put a new leash string on this board, and the next wave went right over the falls again and broke this bad boy in half. So that was my winter. My winter basically consisted of, I got a lot of really good waves, but I broke way too many boards this winter, for sure.